So surprisingly, I don't have a whole lot that will repeat what Brian has said, but I do want to bring this up to your attention. Um, Representative Andrew Clyde posted, proud to support the Dismantle DEI Act. We must codify the elimination of DEI to ensure that this divisive, un-American nonsense is gone for good. So President Trump ended DEI mandates on day one. Now we're making sure they never come back. The Dismantle DEI Act codifies Trump's America First agenda into law. So they're trying to, well, there's a bill that's going to be submitted, if it hasn't already, to be able to end DEI for good. So just wanted to let you know about that. I don't remember what this was. Oh, so I've got a couple of videos that I'm going to show you. They're all just going to run together. So Democrats are trying to get into the USAID building. So they're just trying everything they can to get in there to get access. This video here, he's talking about the corruption of the NGOs. And he alludes to the big one. The big one will be released in the next 48 hours. So there's something in addition to the USAID that's going to be released, according to some insiders inside Doge. And David Cross is the one that's telling us to pay attention. The real reason will be revealed soon. Buckle up. And he goes, this guy here, can't remember his name, he goes in to talk about elections. So I'm thinking maybe it has to do with elections, which got me thinking, all these, let me pull this in real quick, and I've got some graphics I want to show. Oh shoot, I didn't even bring them in. Oh yeah, I did. Sorry. So some graphics that I was looking at yesterday when I was looking at USAID stuff. So here's APAC, American Israeli Public Affairs. Money goes into that from USAID. But I came across this, and the very top PAC or top contributor, or the top organization that gets the funds from APAC is Standing Strong PAC. And that's $5 million that they get. It's an outside group that they get from APAC. And I was like, Standing Strong, I wonder who that is. So I just clicked on the thing. And so Standing Strong PAC outside spending, total spent on the federal elections, $9 million. Well, $5 million of that came from APAC, right? And we learned about APAC a couple of weeks ago. It's well, we saw that on it's American Israel Public Affairs Committee. So then I searched Standing Strong PAC. Committee is a single candidate super PAC in the support of Adam Schiff. So Adam Schiff is getting $5 million from APAC, and he spent $9 million on the 2024 election for his seat in the Senate. So I was sitting there thinking, well, all this money comes from USAID into, like, funneling into different PACs and organizations and down to our elected leaders. Well, now all that money is going to stop. So here's Adam Schiff. His total money spent, or total money received. I'm having a hard time seeing that. I gotta make it larger on my end. Hold on one second. Anyway, the money that he's received is greater than the money that, oh, I'm so sorry. Greater than the money that he spent by, I don't know, $14 million. So he raised 47 million, and he spent 61 million. So he should be in debt 14 million, right? Well, then he had 6 million on hand. So I don't know, $7 million. He should have a debt of $7 million, but he doesn't. That was interesting, I thought. But anyway, so I was just thinking that maybe we can actually get control of our elections, because we're not going to have this enormous amount of money going from USAID into our elected officials. And you've got, we all learned about Act Blue this year and how they're funneling money from bogus credit cards, thanks to James O'Keefe. So all that corruption. So I'm kind of excited to see what might happen in the next 24 hours or 48 hours. Well, it's probably 24 hours now, because that video, or that interview that Alex Jones was having, is 24 hours old now. So tomorrow, we should see something significant happen again. So eyes open. So let's go ahead, and we're gonna play a couple. I'm gonna start out with the Oval Office, kind of a 360 view of the Oval Office, and then we're gonna see a quick video about CIA buyout, which was a repeat that Brian had talked about briefly this morning, and then we'll watch the Dems trying to get into the USAID office, and then we'll finish up with that interview that Alex Jones was having. So y'all have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So enjoy the videos.
Fox News alert, the Wall Street Journal is reporting the CIA has reportedly just offered a buyout to its entire workforce. Everyone in the agencies telling employees late today they can quit their jobs and receive about 8 months of pay and benefits. It's a part of Trump's push to downsize the federal government. More as we get it.
Hi, Chris. Pleased to meet you. John Biden. Nice to meet you. Okay, so as you are aware, this agency is very busy currently, and they are not able to take a meeting currently. They advise that they will be in contact shortly, and that it's best to contact the Department of State at this time if you need any further comments.
Who is they?
The front office of the administrator.
So could I just ask, are you with AID?
I am.
Thank you for your service.
Well, thank you for what you do.
Are the Doge people here? Are they in this building now?
We are 8 employees currently. That's all I know. I don't know specific who Doge is or any of that. I just know that 8 employees are here. Although, as you are all aware, it's in the press. Everybody's been asked to telework. There are select people here to provide services for the agency. So the rest of them are all telework.
Are you career?
I am. Are you?
Thank
you guys are career
you.
as well.
Yeah,
No,
thank you.
We want to thank you for your service. So there's no opportunity to.
No, unfortunately, I don't control that. I'm just here to pass along the information. thank you for coming, and I'm sure Department of State will be putting out more information for sure.
Are you the
Repeat the
senior
message
civil
one more
servant
time.
here?
No, I am not the senior civil servant.
Here,
I have gray
today.
hair like
Today.
you. No, absolutely. Just gray hair. That's it. That's the senior part of me. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you
very
guys.
much.
I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep, we'll
Thank
see
you.
you soon.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The person at Doge told me is that the big one's coming, and frankly, I don't know. I could find out, but we were not looking at the.
Well, you know, Soros is heavily involved.
He is, but he's using taxpayer money. He's using the U.S. Treasury as his piggy bank. It's really not his money that he's using.
Yeah, we've known that forever. That they say it's Soros money, but they just hand it to him. So that's fast. You're talking to Doge people? Tell us what they said, please.
Did I say that?
Yeah, that's very well. I figured, but it's obvious. So you guys are great researchers.
It's the biggest megaphone in the.
Well, first, thank you, Alex, for having me on. And it's not just me. There's a team of us across the United States that have been volunteering our time and a lot of times our own money to do deep dives into this. And of course, we're called conspiracy theorists, especially in 2020, 2021, et cetera. And we expose the election fraud. We know how the presidential election was stolen in 2020. Then we moved into the money phase with Chris Gleason and Philip Allison, two of the team members who did a lot of the work, 7 days a week, 14-hour days, exposing smurfing, which is campaign money laundering. Then we got into the NGOs, and we've termed it the fifth branch of government, whereby that's the real government that's running in all these anomalies, the things that don't feel right and obviously just aren't right, like DEI, CRT, transgender operations on minors or anybody, illegal immigration. Well, it's all the fifth branch of government, which is NGOs. NGOs are non-governmental organizations. Generally, you can refer to them as nonprofits, even though there's upwards to 40 different types of nonprofits sanctioned by the IRS. And we found is that there's 1.4 or 1.5 million NGOs in the United States alone, not even getting to the international ones. And we've identified 55,000 out of the 1.5 million that are true liberal NGOs trying to tear down our country. And one of them, as we give an example, is the Chinese Progressive Association that has shown, it's out of Oakland, California. The FBI has tagged them as a bad actor. And they are getting either giving or receiving federal government money, federal grants, and then it goes from one organization to another. And people across the United States and citizen journalists have exposed this. Rand Paul, the U.S. Senator, has exposed this, but certainly not enough.
And so on screen is just this group funding and the big banks and big tech above them and government giving them just billions. This is just one of their front groups or one of their conduits they use. And let me just briefly go back then here. Let's remember, meanwhile, Loris Lerner under Obama, they admitted, yeah, we targeted tens of thousands of churches and conservative pro-gun groups, anti-abortion groups, taking away their tax exemption, auditing them, putting them in prison. So while you have a war on legitimate, open, Christian, conservative, nationalist groups, then they've got just green light over here, USAID, 93% of the money going to Democrats. I mean, it's just, this is their fifth column. This is their shadow government. This is striking at the heart. Please continue.
And the Chinese Progressive Group is in the 55,000, along with USAID. And let me highlight a few USAID. The USAID has been funding, which is our tax dollars through government grants and loans, Project Predict, which is the creation of COVID. There's NGOs such as the Catholic Charity Scam and the Lutherans and the Jewish Family Services, $300 million a month to facilitate illegal immigration. USAID is funding the BBC. It came out this morning. They are funding the piggy bank. They're larger than the CIA by a multiple.
By the way, stop the presses. We're going to have you on for 10 hours soon. We'll do a 2-hour commercial free. I didn't even know that yet, but that goes to figure. The government funded, they have to pay a license to have a TV in the UK. Almost no one watches it. It's literally run by pedophiles that's come out. And they are getting taxpayer money for the American people. Wow, so Americans are paying a BBC tax as well. Holy Toledo.
And they're paying, and the USAID and through NGOs is paying Reuters in London to do hit pieces on conservatives across the United States.
Yeah, $300 million to target Musk, which again, that's really MI6. Incredible.
And USAID is the one who funded the toppling of the overthrow of Ukraine government in the Orange Revolution in 2014, where Victoria Nuland is the one who orchestrated that, and she needs to be criminally prosecuted for that. You know, she's the one who started, and her minions started the Ukraine war. It wasn't Putin. We're the ones who are putting biolabs and other bad things in Ukraine.
Nuland and all of them have bragged they started it. George Soros went on CNN and said, I'm behind it. I did it through USAID. They're very proud about it.
And the USAID is the ones funding and paying poppy farmers in Afghanistan to this day. Maybe it stopped yesterday thanks to Elon Musk, but they were paying poppy farmers to grow the poppies for heroin. Wow. And then to ship it across to different countries. And they're paying for child trafficking, as I said. And Tom Homan of ICE was on, where there's 500,000 now kids, not 200,000 or 300,000, which is bad enough. 500,000 illegally trafficked kids, and the U.S. government, through the NGO, USAID, is paying for that. It's outrageous. Now it's come out, there's a partnership with USAID directly under contract with Mexican drug cartels. This is outrageous. And shame on all the congressmen and senators, where there's, 635 of them, maybe 2 or 3, like Rand Paul and a few others, maybe 2 or 3 out of the 635 have ever brought this to light. And where are all the other ones? Where are the 633 that have not spoken up and probably have their fingers in the pockets of these NGOs getting money?
Incredible. I mean, and we're just learning a little bit of it right now, and they are in full panic mode over Elon Musk.
And I tell you what, very interesting is what we found with when we were able to map out all the 55,000 connected. And when I say connected, the reason we could see the cash flow monies flowing from one to the next, sometimes through 10,000 NGOs. And then it'll actually come back to the original NGO. And this includes not just like the Chinese Progressive Association. I'm talking about Charles Schwab Trust Fund, Fidelity Trust, Vanguard Trust. You're talking about people who, on the brokerage side, you have your pension funds and your 401ks.
Of course, I mean, in general, that's the BlackRock Consortium.
Yeah, correct. And I am talking specifically about the trust, but they still are using their names like Charles Schwab, and they might be doing good work of 60, 70, 80%. But then you have that 10, 20, 30% that we can trace and show that goes directly to anti-American, outright communist organizations who are trying to tear down our country. It's outrageous how deep this is. I'm going to give you a quick example. We can track from the U.S. Treasury through grants and loans, going to the Tides Foundation, going to the Chinese Progressive Group, who then funds the Abundant Organization, the Organization Support Services Group, the National Domestic Workers Alliance, Fair Works, LBGT Outership, Armor Islamic Center, Islamic Services of Seattle, Working Washington, Vote Yes for Work. These are all funded by U.S. tax dollars through the NGO coming from the U.S. Treasury to the Tides Foundation to the Chinese Progressive Group, who then we can track and we can show on screen that funds 187 other NGOs. And then again, you'll see the money coming back. And this is something no one could ever do before. And we believe it's because they're trying to cover their tracks of where the money's really going to. And don't forget, this is only 55,000 in the United States. Think about all the NGOs then that go out to out of country.
And that's what Zelensky, as soon as Musk got into USAID this weekend, By Sunday, less than 24 hours later, Zelensky goes, look, I only got 42% of the money. Somebody keeps the rest in the U.S., 58%. And they're rolling over quickly. They know they're in trouble.
Exactly. And I'm going to give you another great direct example. I have to give credit to @Data Republicans. Consortium for Elections and Political Process Strengthening. Now, you tell me what the hell that is. There's 48 federal grants totaling $528 million that anyone can go look up. This is based on the IRS 990s. We went to their database using an API, downloaded their entire IRS database of 990s. That's our source of our data for all this.
And what I love is how Musk is openly working with his people, but also crowdsourcing from people like you with the trails, with the breadcrumbs. And you see X particularly using a humet of human knowledge with researchers like you that go in and connect the dots and then furnish these total scientific breakdowns, blueprints for everyone of what to go after. This is synergy.
And I can disclose that President Trump has our information on how they stole the election in Wisconsin. He has our information of smurfing, of campaign money laundering, and he has our information of these NGOs. And he, to my knowledge, and seeing how he's acting, he's using it, which is praise the Lord.
I remember you, like a couple of years ago, your group, seeing it about smurfing and learning the term. I mean, I understood money laundering and Act Blue and how they did that. And they would just take people's names that weren't even involved in it and use them to make donations they weren't really making. But now, thanks to your work and others, this is really coming to the fore, and they've just committed mass crime. Like Act Blue, the majority of the money comes from overseas credit cards. I mean, they're not even trying to hide this.
And we're proud to say is that 20 state attorney generals have last year opened a criminal investigation, which is still ongoing. And Jason Morales, the state attorney general out of Virginia, and along with U.S. Congressman Brian Stiles, who happens to be from Wisconsin, he's the chairman of the committee that oversees the Federal Election Commission. They sent a request to Janet Yellen in the U.S. Treasury for the SARS reports, and she commented publicly they have never seen so many SARS reports filed by banks against Act Blue ever in any request from Congress. And that those criminal investigations are still going, being led by people such as Ken Paxton out of Texas, the state attorney general out of Missouri and Indiana and Iowa.
And what's beautiful is this isn't like fake charges on Trump or me or Owen Schroyer or Steve Bannon. This is all meat and potatoes, cut and dry, prima facie, open and shut. I mean, we've got their ass.
Yes, because you can't cover up the financial data through the merchant services when they process the cards. That's in the hands of like Visa and MasterCard and the banks. So
and they've been operating like they would never have anybody go look or check. They thought they were invincible.
Exactly. Now, I wanted to finish on this consortium for elections and political process. It's $528 million in grants, but when you go back further in time, it reaches $2 billion. And you know who it's going to? This is supposed to be for educating young people, which the federal government should be doing in the first place, about the political process and getting involved in politics. But the money, when you look in the details of the individual connections, it goes to, and this is typically 13 to 14, 15 million per grant. It's going to Venezuela, Haiti, Armenia, Jordan, Nigeria, Tunisia, Republic of Congo, Sudan, Senegal, Moldavia, Guatemala. Why? Why is $528 million going to these countries?
And when you track it back, it's literal globalist brainwashing into the WFU and cult.
Exactly.
And drag queen story time, all of it.
Influence, and you can track these NGOs to the ones who have been promoting pornography books in our public schools.
Of course. No, because I've tracked these individually, spot checking it. When you wonder why in Australia and Germany and even in Russia and Mexico and everywhere, why there's suddenly fat dudes in dresses, a lot of them convicted pedophiles talking to 6-year-olds. It's literally grants. I mean, that's what they're paying for.
Yes, and then now it's also coming out, mostly, I'd say 90% Democrats, they are getting a cut of this money. This is why Senator McConnell, Mitch McConnell is in on it also through Ukraine money laundering. We've determined that already. But the Democrats who are outside the USAID office in Washington, D.C. yesterday trying to cause a ruckus, they are the ones who are getting more money either directly in their pockets.
Yeah, let me back you up. Musk got the numbers released last night. 93% of it's going 93% of the money going out that's being siphoned off goes to Democrats. So this is a Democrat operation.
Bingo, bingo. That's why they're screaming like stuck pigs, because their money supply is being cut off. But again, USAID is just one. We've got 55,000 identified, and thank God that President Trump has shut them down, paused the funding for all of them. And he's going after such as a Catholic charity scam, and disclosing to your audience that I am a Catholic. The Catholic Charities is a scam taking federal government money, and he's going to revoke their 501c3 status, which is fantastic.
Well, if you wonder why the Catholic leadership's become so liberal and globalist, unlike great average Catholics, great people, is what is it? It came out last week, $2.3 billion in the last year went to the different bishops and different things. So that's what this is doing.
Correct, and the Lutherans aren't clean on this either. Neither are the Jewish Family Services NGO. These are all NGOs. The Red Cross. The Red Cross is dirty as can be, and they're taking the federal government money and then facilitating trafficking, especially the children, let alone any illegals coming across the border, but in particular the children.
And I'm going to try to give you the floor when we come back. We've got a few minutes to break, but this is just you're hitting on so many points. I didn't know about the BBC thing. I want you to, when we come back from break, if you can dig that up, I'd like to, I haven't seen that break yet. That is sensational. That the U.S. citizens are paying a TV tax to the UK. That's super unpopular there, much less here. That is amazing. But I want you to think about this, because this is a big question. If anybody knows, it'll be you. Because I've gone over the numbers. Who's the biggest bag man or distribution point? Is it USAID? Is it Catholic Charities? Is it the Jewish charities? Or in these groups, who are the motherships? Who are the kingpins?
The person at Doge told me is that the big one's coming, and frankly, I don't know. I could find out, but we were not looking at the.
Well, Soros is heavily involved.
He is, but he's using taxpayer money. He's using the U.S. Treasury as his piggy bank. It's really not his money that he's using.
Yeah, we've known that forever. They say it's Soros money, but they just hand it to him. So that's fast. You're talking to Doge people? Tell us what they said, please.
Did I say that?
Yeah, that's very well. I figured, but it's obvious. So you guys are great researchers. But they just told you the big one's coming. What was the context?
Mike, I would strongly follow Mike Benz, B-E-N-Z, on Twitter. Mike Benz has done phenomenal exposure work on this before we even looked into this. We just took it to the next level where you could see it interactive, connected, how they're connected, and we connected through the money flows and the people. So that's how we know that they're all connected.
Sure, you ran it to ground. You ran it to ground.
Yeah, exactly. So Jim Ferguson just published on Jim Ferguson UK is funded by USAID, and he's that's one source. There's others that are coming out with it. Benny Johnson has just come out with it that the BBC is being funded by USAID. So, and I know Reuters is too. I came over that before. Is that Reuters is?
Yeah, that's even come out now, and yeah, that came out in the last about a month and a half ago. That's confirmed.
Correct.
Unbelievable. So, wow. We're going to break. What else are you going to cover when we come back?
Well, it's basically anything going wrong with our country, and DEI to illegal immigration, you can trace it back to the fifth branch of government, these NGOs.
Unbelievable. Peter, how do people support what you're doing? We're still going to come back, but how do people, how are you funding yourself? Just with pure will?
I fund a lot of it myself, and other people do provide donations. Electionwatch.info, and there's a donate button on there to help defray the costs. I appreciate it.
Let me just ask you briefly before we go to break: how satisfying is the change you're seeing for you?
It's Christmas 10 times over.
It's February 2025. We now